I'm Eric Russell. I am out and about today at the John Marshal building. We're about to hear from some amazing Virginians who are going to talk about DOMA, Prop 8, and its overturning today at the Supreme Court. For those of you who aren't aware of these things, this fight began back in 1969 with Stonewall and has moved through the progressive years. Today is a major day for gay and lesbian, transgender, bisexual people in those states where marriage is legal. But it's also a big step for those and a big advantage and a big win for gays and lesbians and such in states where it isn't, but it's a step forward. We're going to hear from these people today, we're going to talk to them, and we're going to hear how this all affects us as a nation in such a great...
Good afternoon, I'm Rollin Winston. I have a couple of titles. I am the Deputy for Policy on Equality and Diversity with the Alliance for Progressive Values, and I'm the State Lead for Get Equal. And we really appreciate you coming out today to join with us in discussing what has happened with the Supreme Court this morning. I'm not going to talk at any length. We've got several people that have various and important perspectives. So I'd like to introduce first the Honorable Bevel Dean, Clerk of the Court for Richmond.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Bevel Dean. I'm Clerk of the Circuit Court here in the City of Richmond. And as Roland just said, as clerk, one of the major administrative functions of the clerk's office is issuing and protecting marriage licenses. And each year, February, Valentine's Day, when the General Assembly is in session, we gather here at the courthouse to represent gays and lesbians, and friends of gays and lesbians, and family members of gays and lesbians who are loving couples who oftentimes want to marry, but this is Virginia, and in the Commonwealth you cannot. So today is a great day and it's a step forward, but we have to remember this is still Virginia. And on Valentine's Day, when couple after couple, they come in front of me and I have to tell them, as the clerk of the court, I have to abide by the laws of the Commonwealth, but that does not mean that I believe in that particular law. So I have to tell them they cannot get married. But that one day I look forward, and I think today we're closer than ever because I look forward to being the circuit court clerk in the city of Richmond that issues the first marriage license to a gay or lesbian couple. We're closer to that today, but the fight is still there, and this is Virginia, and we've got to fight harder.
I'm here with Rollin Winston today, and we are here at the John Marshal Federal Building as we discuss the repeal of DOMA and Prop 8 and its impact on Virginians and marriage. What can you tell us today about today's events that took place at the Supreme Court and how that's impacted people here in Virginia?
Well, I work with two organizations primarily, and one of those is Alliance for Progressive Values, and that is a progressive organization in Virginia. And my position is as Deputy for Policy for Equality and Diversity. The other thing I do is I'm State Lead for Get Equal. There are two different organizations in respect that Get Equal is pretty much a radical organization. Okay. When you think of Get Equal, you think of Dan Chauvin chained to the fence at the White House. That's not me. I told them when I came on, I don't go that far on things. I'm just not that out. But it gives, I'm trying to give you the context that I sort of have two opinions on things sometimes. This is a great day because, this is a great day because it's going to impact so many people. It's very disappointing that it didn't go all the way because of all the people that are hit because they are living in Virginia or have to be in Virginia. You're probably going to talk to Crystal, and Crystal is the wife of a military person who, I can't remember her wife's rank, that's why I say that. And they are here because this is where the Army sent them. And so their driver's license were good when they crossed the state line. They didn't have to park their vehicle at the state line. But Virginia doesn't honor their marriage license. What the heck is that all about? So we've got a lot to do. One of the Prop 8 attorneys said that the next step is that they will do a lawsuit on marriage in one of the states where it's unlikely to be overturned legislatively anytime soon. And he mentioned Virginia as being a priority. So I'm optimistic to see a first showing up here within a month. They probably need a couple willing to sue. That's probably the way it's got to go. But I'm anxious about that. The other thing that's not clear, may become clear in a few days or it may take weeks, is whether or not a same-sex couple that's binational is now able to have a legal standing. So that should follow whatever the rule is for a heterosexual couple. But I don't know what that exactly is on when you marry someone that's already in the country.
Hi, I'm Guthrie, Aston Yaga. I'm the Executive Director of the ACLU here in Virginia. And the ACLU is proud that we have been litigating to assure freedom of marriage since the 70s. We brought the very first case ever on freedom of marriage in the United States. And today, our client, Edie Windsor, won her case against the Defense of Marriage Act in the United States Supreme Court. That court decision is a truly historic decision that says that it is unconstitutional for the federal government to treat two legally married couples differently just because one couple is a same-sex couple and one couple is an opposite-sex couple. There are 1,100 federal benefits and privileges that attach to marriage, which now will become available to all legally married people across the United States, including legally married people here in Virginia. We obviously still don't allow people to get married here in Virginia, but many Virginians have chosen to become married in states which do recognize same-sex marriage. There are now 12 of them. And with the other case that was decided today in the Prop 8 case, 30% of Americans now live in jurisdictions where same-sex marriage will be legal and recognized. The second case decided today involved Prop 8, which was the initiative in California that sought to take away the right to marry in California. As you know, 18,000 couples have been married in California when Prop 8 passed. Federal district court said that's unconstitutional to take away that right, particularly in a state that recognizes domestic partners. And the court today, the United States Supreme Court today, said that that decision will stand. It said that the appeal from that decision had to be dismissed because the people who brought it did not have the legal right to bring it. So although it was a procedural decision, it has a substantive effect. And we today at the ACLU are celebrating with Californians the reinstitution of legal same-sex marriage in that state, and now for a third of all Americans. The American Civil Liberties Union, both at the national level and here in Virginia, is absolutely committed to continuing this fight until every American has the same right to marry, including in Virginia. And we will be working hard in that direction, both in the courts and in the legislatures and at the ballot box, wherever that issue is at
I'm
issue.
Eric Russell. I am out and about here at the John Marshal Building today with Claire. I always have to with her last name. Help me out here.
Aston Yaga.
Aston Yaga from the ACLU, and we're here discussing today's Supreme Court decisions about DOMA and Prop 8. So thank you for being here today.
All right.
Can you give some people some insight on what Prop 8 was, what today's ruling on DOMA means? And we talked about today skim milk marriages. What are those?
Well, skim milk marriages is a term that comes from the oral arguments on these cases, where one of the judges suggested that states that don't recognize marriages that are legal other places have essentially converted them into skim milk marriages, which are marriages without meaningful substance. We had two cases come down today. One involves an initiative, a referendum issue in California, Prop 8. And what Prop 8 did was the California Supreme Court had held that the California Constitution meant that everybody should be able to get married in California, and 18,000 couples did. And then the voters passed a resolution amending the Constitution to say that wasn't legal. And what this case did was challenge the constitutionality of the voters doing that. In other words, when you go about to do something, when it's solely about punishing gay people, is it constitutional under the federal Constitution? And the district court in that case said, no, yes, it's not constitutional. And then that was appealed to the Supreme Court by some folks who had been proponents of Prop 8, but the governor and the AG didn't appeal, and so what the court did today was say that the case wasn't properly before them. And that leaves intact the district court decision finding that Prop 8 is unconstitutional. So that should mean that we should all be celebrating today the reinstitution of legal marriage in California for same-sex couples. Now, the Defense of Marriage Act case was a challenge to one of the provisions of the Defense of Marriage Act that required the federal government to treat same-sex marriages differently from opposite-sex marriages. And what the court said in that case, which was brought by Edie Windsor, because she had to pay $300,000 in estate taxes after her partner died because they weren't recognized as being married by the federal government. What that court decision says is that the federal government cannot constitutionally treat marriages differently. That if a state decides somebody should be in can be legally married. The federal government is not free under the Constitution to set different standards for different kinds of married people.
And there are 13 states right now that recognize same-sex marriage.
Including the District of Columbia, and with California, it'll be 13 jurisdictions. 12 states in the District of Columbia, and now 13 states in the District of Columbia.
For people who live on military bases, they will start to see, because they're federal installations.
No, but that's not the right distinction.
Not the same distinction? Okay.
This is about the federal government and its relationship to citizens, whether they're military citizens or civilian citizens. It's about the Defense Department has rules that says only heterosexual couples can be considered married for family housing. So they were required to say that because of the old federal law. That federal law is now gone.
Okay.
So now the Defense Department is free to treat all legally married people the same. Similarly, the IRS will be free to treat all legally married people the same, and required to treat all legally married people the same. And the Social Security Administration, and on Medicaid, Medicare, et cetera, et cetera. And it'll take a while because there are 1,100 different laws and regulations that give currently heterosexual married couples benefits, and it'll take a while to make sure that all the language is sussed out and done right. But the idea behind this decision is that the federal government, before the federal government, a marriage is a marriage is a marriage. So if, as a married couple, my husband and I have the right to a benefit, as a married couple, your husband and you would have the right to a benefit someday.
Because Virginia has one of the most restrictive marriage amendments, the Marshall-Newman Amendment, which doesn't allow for anything even so far as power of attorney.
Well, I mean, that's arguable, but it does say that the state and local governments cannot recognize any relationship other than a married relationship between a man and a woman. So it can't recognize civil unions or domestic partnerships for any two people, regardless of their sexual orientation.
For couples who got married in states where it is legal to be married and they reside in a state where it's not, what impact will this ruling have on them?
Well, Prop 8 has no impact.
Right.
And the DOMA decision is about being legally married. Okay. Now, I mean, there are some complexities because some statutes or regulations might use words like where you're domiciled as opposed to where you got married. So we have to sort of
sift through all that.
But I think that everybody today is reading this opinion as making it clear that for the federal government's purposes, being married is being married. If you were legally married in this state, it's like, when you come to California and you've been legally married, we recognize that marriage. I mean, in fact, Virginia recognizes common law marriages in states that recognize common law marriages, even though you can't make a common law marriage in Virginia. So what this is saying is the federal government is going to treat everybody who's legally married the same. And it'll take a while to sort all that out because, the federal government's like a big aircraft carrier and you got to get it moving in the right direction. But I'm very hopeful that the Defense Department's going to act quickly because, it's part of implementing Don't Ask, Don't Tell and making sure that the military actually does that in a way that supports troop morale, et cetera. So, I'm saying goodbye to the clerk of the court.
Moving forward, we talked about earlier today, it could be like 2017 before we could see Marshall-Newman possibly repealed to forget every vote. But moving forward into the nation, do we see possibly more states overturning their marriage amendments and more states they showed 55% of Americans support gay marriage. Do we see these overturning in states and moving forward?
You look at California, it's already likely to be on the ballot in 2014. Most people think that California will reverse Prop 8 in the ballot box, which will, get rid of this issue once and for all without there having to be more court decisions. And I suspect there'll be other states, particularly the states that have initiated a referendum, where citizens can automatically bring the issue to the ballot box without having to go through the legislature. And the reason why it takes so long in Virginia is we have to go to the legislature twice with an intervening election, and then it goes on the ballot, and then, so it's a very long and arduous process. And frankly, it should be hard to amend the Constitution. It just wasn't hard enough in Virginia. You're welcome. That's great.
I'm Goresline, President of People of Faith for Equality in Virginia. And today is a great day for many people across this country. All those couples that married in those other 12 states and soon to be 13 states, including California, whose marriages are now going to be recognized by the federal government. Unfortunately, it doesn't apply to couples living in Virginia. Now, that's the deal here. The clock is running on Virginia. You see, what is happening now is that we will have people, we do have people living in Virginia who have, as Justice Ginsburg said, skim milk marriages in the sense of the law. And so we need to move from skim milk to whole milk, from second class to first class. So the clock is running for Virginia to become yet another state that proclaims equality for all couples. That's the work of people of faith. That's the work of all the ACLU and the other progressive groups in Virginia who are working hard and have been working for a long time to make sure that equality exists not only for married couples, but also for their children, also for the fact that we can't, adoptions and foster care are under siege in Virginia for same-gender loving couples and families and children, and there are no workplace protections either. So we have a lot of work to do, but this was a great day. It is a great day. We're celebrating in Virginia, even as we know we have much work to do. Speaking as a person of faith, let me just close with this. I believe passionately, and I have many colleagues, clergy and lay alike, all across Virginia, from all faiths and all traditions, who know that God is on the side of equality and recognition of the couples that God has joined together. Whether the Commonwealth recognizes it or not, God knows who's married. And we stand with all those couples, and we will continue the work to make sure they are treated with dignity and
Here with
respect.
Robin Goresline here at the John Marshal Federal Building, and we've been discussing DOMA and the overrepeal of Prop 8. And what I want is, what is, from the faith community perspective on this? How does that affect people of faith? How will that move people forward? Because within the gay community, there are some people that walked away from their faith because their churches weren't accepting, and you have people going, they have faith and they're trying to reconcile being a gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual person and God. How did they do that, and what did these rulings do to maybe help bring them back to faith?
Wow, good questions. I think, as I tried to say earlier, I think to me, of course, as a person of faith, that these rulings, that this progress we've made is evidence that not only is the arc of justice bending along and bending toward justice, the arc of morality, the moral universe, but also God bends it. And so what we're seeing is, in 12 states, and I think soon to be 13 with California, a third of the country, God is working to help those places actually understand what true love and full love is all about. And so I think that's our work here in Virginia. So as people of faith, as this organization, as I work with other clergy and lay people, it seems to me what we're really doing is doing God's work. And so, yeah, I understand people left oftentimes because they got hurt, they got kicked out, or they felt kicked out anyway, whatever it was. And so maybe that is not the community for them. But they're more and more open and welcoming and affirming congregations all across Virginia. A year ago, for an example, we had one reconciling Methodist congregation in Virginia. It was here in Richmond.
All right.
The one over on Race Street. All of a sudden I've forgotten its name. But anyway, great place, Centenary Methodist Church.
Okay.
Now there are 4. The other 3 are up in, one's in Harrisonburg and 2 are up in the northern Virginia, Arlington, Alexandria. And that's in a denomination that still can't get it right. They're still very homophobic, but their churches are moving. And the Presbyterians are moving, and the Episcopalians are moving, the Unitarians have already done it, MCC's already done it. You know, Catholics, we got a ways to go. Reformed Jews, conservative Jews, they're there now.
Yeah. So
there are lots of places for people to go to be affirmed and accepted. And then that's a way we can continue to work for everybody, whether they're a person of faith or not.
Moving forward,
Yeah.
where do you see marriage in, let's say, 15 years here in Virginia? Do you think we might have it? Do you think we would be towards?
Oh, yeah, no, we'll have it well before 15 years.
Okay.
I'll go out on a limb, and I don't have anything except for sort of sense of intuition and a determination, I suppose. I'm now talking about 2020.
Okay.
Because I want Virginia to see clearly for the first time what love is.
Okay.
And so I think by 2020 we can have this. We can't have it before 2017 because we can't. That's the earliest we could turn the amendment around. But that gives us 3 more years after that.
It does.
And the way things are moving with 56% of the population in favor, I think it's going to change. It's possible a court could do it. Personally, I would almost rather have it be a vote of the people. because I would actually like to have the vote undone by the people.
Right.
People who said no can now say yes. And I think we can do it by 2020. And certainly within 15 years. No two ways about that.
If people are looking for a church or a temple that accepts them, is there a way they can find out more if they want to come back to their faith? Is there a listing, or they just have to shop around to find out which church fits for them?
At People of Faith, we're beginning to try to pull together directories. We're going to survey a bunch of churches and so on. There is one online source that has some reliability, although it's not perfect.
Okay.
And that's gaychurch.com or gaychurches.com, I can't remember now which. And you can go there, but it bears checking, even there. But I can say this. If people want to go, if they're Unitarian, they can go there even if they're not a Unitarian.
Yeah.
They're very open. That's a safe place always for people to go. Most Episcopal churches now, certainly those in larger cities and so on, are going to be open at least. They may not be all the way there, but they're going to be accepting. Presbyterians the same way, much more now. It still bears checking. MCC, of course, the Jewish congregations, as I said. So there are some you can go to already. United Church of Christ is often very affirming. In Richmond it is, and certainly in Northern Virginia. The problem is that there are cases where it's not true yet, where the church hasn't really moved. So you have to be checking. But those are good places to start. Gaychurch.com, and then People of Faith is working on a directory, probably by the end of the year.
Hi, I'm Scott Price. I'm the president of the Alliance for Progressive Values, and we're here today to celebrate with our gay and lesbian brothers and sisters on a really, really important win for us. This is something we've been waiting for a long time. I think it's remarkable that in 2013 we still have to require the courts to establish that two people can love each other and start a family. I want to say something. I'll give a quick quote here. And Dr. Martin Luther King said that the arc of the moral world is long and it bends towards justice. Today we saw the arc of the moral world visibly bend, and I think that is something we can all be proud of. APV will continue to work for equality for people of all backgrounds in the state of Virginia.
I'm wearing what I wore in front of the Supreme Court the day that the cases were heard. I've been supporting, my partner and I have been supporting this issue for years. We've been supporting it financially, at microphones, and in the political arena. And this is from my partner Brian, who could not be here because he can't get on my health insurance here in Virginia because our marriage is not counted. So he's continuing to work instead of retiring with me. I also want to thank today Sandy, Chris, Jeff, Paul in the Proposition 8 case, and Edie Windsor, who stood up for what she thought was right. You know, Virginia is supposed to stand up for me and protect me and my partner. That's what a government does for their citizens. And I'm still waiting for Virginia to stand up and protect the LGBT community. Virginia has a long history of bigotry towards a community. And there's been periods of self-exile here in Virginia. Many people left before the Stonewall Rebellion in 1969 just to be around other gay people. The Sharon Bottoms case in Henrico County, many lesbian couples left when the Sharon Bottoms had her daughter taken away from her. When Virginia passed the marriage amendment, we know 6 couples that left Virginia. We're having our gay and LGBT youth leave Virginia and not return. So it affects every family. So I just wanted to say it is a great day for equality. My partner and I plan to self-exile. The marriage amendment could not be backed out as soon as till 2017. And that's if every single vote goes our way, and it won't. And then you have to pass a law that will make same-sex marriage legal here in Virginia. Who knows how long that'll take? Virginia still hasn't backed out of its law on firing people that are gay and lesbian, transgender. So there's a lot of work to do here in Virginia, and my partner and I will continue the struggle in another state. We will continue fighting for this for Virginians, no matter wherever we are. But to protect our family, we will self-exile to a state that has sexual orientation in their non-discrimination policy, who has same-sex marriage legal, and who embraces their LGBT community.
I'm Eric Russell. I'm here at the John Marshal Federal Building today as we discuss the overturning of Prop 8 and DOMA at the Supreme Court today and its impact here on Virginians. So I'm here today with a fantastic Virginian who guys just moved here, but tell folks your name, because I don't do names well, and I admit that freely.
Hi, I'm Crystal Ruiz de Velasco, originally born and raised in Alabama. We moved to Virginia about 2 years ago. We live in Chesterfield.
Very nice. I just moved from Chesterfield.
Okay.
The city's like that. So tell us how the Supreme Court ruling today affects your family. Because your wife is an E7?
That is correct.
Okay, in the United States Army?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that story, your history, and what brings you out today.
Well, me and my wife have been married for about 2 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We got married in D.C. I was overjoyed this morning. I was watching the SCOTUS blog and in the news at the same time. I texted everybody I knew. I called my mom. I can't wait to call Chris and tell her she can't have her phone at the schoolhouse. She teaches on base, so hopefully I was going to snag her on her lunch break and tell her. But tonight we're going to go celebrate at New York Deli, and we're going to have a very good time. But tomorrow starts our new battle. Virginia is still a state where you can get fired for being gay, and as well as our home states of Alabama and Texas. It's very sad, but we still have battles to fight and victories to win.
Moving forward in celebration, if these things are returned, do you see yourself reaffirming your vows? Do you see a big anniversary coming up soon? Any big special treats? This is a big day in the community. People are going, in the states they live in where they can get married. Do you guys have any plans for that? Or?
I always joke around with Chris that we should go get married in all the states that it's legal. She's like, that's getting kind of expensive. But our piece of paper, our marriage certificate from DC is framed in our house, and it's amazing. But we'll definitely celebrate, and this is definitely a time to celebrate.
What would you say to couples out there who are getting married and they live in a state where the marriage is legal and then their company transfers them to a state that isn't? What bit of advice would you give to them?
Stand up and fight. It's not right. You have rights in some states and no rights in another. It's wrong. Hopefully, within the next very short time, nationwide, no matter where you go, who you're with, you have benefits. It'll just take some time.
Crystal, thank you for today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm Eric Russell. I've been out and about today here at the John Marshal Building. We've discussed Prop 8 and the Supreme Court overturning of DOMA. This is an amazing day. To find out more information, check out Equality Virginia's website, check with the local center, get involved, find out more what you can do to help make marriage legal in your state for people that are gay, transgender, bisexual, the entire group of our home organization. I'm Eric Russell. You never know where I'll turn up next, so tune in next time.